All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible stories in all of biology, how we make the two cells that are literally the start of all of us. We're talking about sperm and egg. And trust me, it's a tale of two completely different strategies, all aimed at one single goal. You know, we hear about sperm and egg all the time, right? But have you ever stopped to think about how they're actually made? Because their creation stories could not be more different. One is all about massive, nonstop production, while the other is a story of incredible patience and careful, long-term investment. So how does the body pull off two such different feats? Okay, the big fancy science word for all of this is gametogenesis. It sounds a little intimidating, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's the body's way of taking a regular cell that has a full set of 46 chromosomes and cleverly dividing it to create a special reproductive cell that only has half that number, just 23. This is absolutely crucial. So let's start with the first story, the tale of the sperm. I want you to think of sperm production, or spermatogenesis, as a high-tech, super efficient factory. It's built for speed, quantity, and it's running pretty much 24/7. And this factory has a very specific opening day. That's it. Simple as that. Before puberty, the factory doors are shut. But once the open sign flips on, it kicks into high gear and basically never stops for the rest of a person's life. Now, hang on to that fact, because it's going to be a really big deal when we compare it to the egg later on. So every factory needs raw materials, right? Well, in this case, our starting material is an immature germ cell that has this number, 46. It's got the full set of 46 chromosomes, just like most of the other cells in your body. This is what we start with. And here's where the magic happens on the assembly line. The process is called meiosis. The starting cell goes through two divisions. First, it splits into two. Then, those two cells split again, giving us 4 in total. But the most important word here, the one I really want you to notice, is equal. Everything is split perfectly evenly. The cellular machinery, the cytoplasm, it's all divided equally. And this is the whole point of the factory. After those two clean, equal divisions, you get cells that now have just 23 chromosomes. They're haploid. They carry exactly half of the genetic information needed to create a new person. And boom, there you have it. From just one starting cell, the production line has churned out 4 identical functional sperm cells. It's a masterpiece of biological efficiency. Now, let's completely shift gears and look at how the egg does things, because it's a whole different world. Okay, so if sperm production is a nonstop factory, then egg production, or oogenesis, is more like an artisan workshop crafting a single, priceless, limited edition jewel. This process is way longer, it's way more selective, and believe it or not, it starts way, way earlier. You have to see this timeline to believe it. The process of making every egg a person will ever have, it starts when they are still an embryo inside their own mother's womb. All the potential eggs are made then, and then the process just hits pause. It just stops for years, a decade or more, until puberty. And even then, it only starts up again one cell at a time each month. It's just incredible. And this, right here, might be the single biggest difference between the two stories. The supply of eggs is finite. That's it. What you're born with is the only set you'll ever have. No new ones are ever made. It's a complete contrast to that nonstop sperm factory we just talked about. Okay, remember how I made such a big deal about the word equal in sperm production? Well, here's the plot twist. In egg production, the division is totally, completely, and deliberately unequal. When the cell splits, one of the new cells gets almost everything. All the nutrients, all the machinery, the whole shebang. And this is what you get from that lopsided split. Instead of 4 identical cells, you get one massive viable egg cell, the ovum, and this other tiny little thing called a polar body, which basically just gets recycled. So from one starting cell, you only get one final precious product. So we've seen the factory, and we've seen the artisan workshop. 2 totally different approaches. Now let's put them side by side and really see just how different their strategies are. I mean, just look at this table. It really lays it all out. Every single feature is a mirror opposite. When does it start? Puberty versus before you're even born. How long does it take? It's continuous versus this start and stop cycle over decades. The output, 4 for 1 versus 1 for 1. And the division itself, equal versus completely unequal. They are fundamentally different ways of getting to the same goal. Okay, so this brings up the big question, right? Why? Why on earth are they so different? This isn't just a random quirk of biology. There's actually a brilliant logic behind these two very distinct game plans. Let's start with the sperm's game plan. To understand it, you just need to look at this number. We're talking 200 to 300 million sperm in a single go. It's a numbers game, pure and simple. The journey to the egg is incredibly difficult, so the strategy is to send a massive army, hoping that at least one soldier makes it through. And here is where it all makes sense. The egg's unequal division isn't wasteful at all. It's a massive investment. By putting all its resources, all that nutrient-rich cytoplasm, into one single cell, it makes sure that if that egg gets fertilized, the new embryo has a fully stocked pantry to survive its first few crucial days. Meanwhile, the sperm strategy is all about playing the odds. Quantity over quality, you could say. Two different strategies, one amazing goal. So there we have it. Our two heroes, crafted in completely opposite ways. One, a tiny traveler made for a marathon, produced in the millions. The other, a carefully prepared, nutrient-packed world, waiting patiently for the winner of the race. Each one is just one half of the story. The real magic, of course, begins when they find each other. But that, well, that's a tale for another day.